Images from Washington flood our social media feeds and fly across our screens and devices every day as members of Congress speak from the chambers of the United States House and Senate. The scenes are impressive, perfectly framed with historic podiums and the marbled walls of the nation's Capitol in the background. The visuals we see imply lofty ideals being debated and declared in the inspiring manner we often imagine the founders deployed at the Constitutional Convention. However, if the C-SPAN camera were pulled back even just slightly, it would show that most speeches from members of Congress are actually being delivered to an entirely empty chamber, except for some of those beleaguered young interns or pages, along with a few security officers and some staffers. I remember the first speech I worked on that was to be delivered on the Senate floor. The team had done a great job polishing every word and phrase, and the senator had prepared absolutely perfectly. The appointed time came for the speech, and it was like a scene from the West Wing as we walked to the Capitol and entered the chamber. I took my seat on the benches with the other staffers, and to my shock, dismay, and horror, beyond the Senate pages who were listlessly sitting on the steps trying to stay awake, there wasn't a soul to be seen. Now, the speech contained proven principles and absolutely rock-solid policies and was brilliantly delivered by the senator, but I left the chamber feeling defeated by the absence of any other senator or any American who could have been inspired by or influenced by that speech. Sadly, the chamber in both houses of Congress have become more like production studios for members than a place for elevated dialogue and rigorous debate. Members know where the cameras are located, and they deliver their speeches to the cameras, so their messages can be clipped and shared on their social media platforms. And while social media is an important and effective way to push out some messaging and policy ideas to constituents, the hallowed chambers of the United States Capitol were created so elected officials could have a conversation with the American people, with both sides making their case and offering amendments on a particular policy or issue, culminating in a vote for all the American people to see. Now, I've heard some wonderful speeches delivered on the floor of the United States Senate from liberals and conservatives alike. No one loves an inspiring, well-crafted, and powerfully delivered speech more than I do. But both political parties presenting a never-ending monologue, posing as dialogue, will never be sufficient to engage the American people, nor will it be able to solve the issues of our day. It's way too easy for politicians to deliver such monologues and walk away feeling like they've moved the nation and that the nation is moving with them. Jonathan Swift said, "It is the folly of too many to mistake the echo of a London coffee house for the voice of the kingdom." I would actually say it this way. It is the folly of too many in Congress to mistake the echo of the empty chamber for the voice of the American people. We should replace the echo of the empty chamber with the sound of real debate, the offering of multiple amendments to improve each bill, and a steady stream of meaningful votes in front of the American people. Imagine how members of Congress would change if, rather than racing to endless meetings with lobbyists, what if our elected officials spent even just 3 hours a day sitting in their respective chambers, having actual dialogue, debate, and votes in front of the American people on the issues that really matter most? As citizens, we must also be wary of echoes from our own chambers, whether those chambers are found on our electronic devices, within our preferred media outlets, or in our circle of friends. It's way too easy to convince ourselves that the echo of our words, whether audible or electronic, rightly represent the voice of the nation. Deeper dialogue and more elevated conversations will enlighten our thinking, inspire our better angels, and produce more innovative solutions to our problems. I once stood in Freedom Hall in Philadelphia, site of that Constitutional Convention, and I stood there early in the morning with few visitors around. There is indeed an echo in that special place. The echo is the sound of freedom. In that hall, America's founding principles and the proper framing of our freedoms and our form of government were forged in passionate debates, critical compromise, and very difficult votes. The sound of freedom produced in Philadelphia has echoed down the years and across the globe for over 200 years. So in another 200 years, will future generations hear from our day the echo of empty chambers or the sound of freedom? This is Boyd Matheson with Sutherland Institute. Thanks for engaging.